I was almost muted. I was getting ready to say Matt Ganningers, we're back, PGA Championship, Quail Hollow, you've got boots, all sorts of good stuff. But I was almost muted. But the fact that I caught it may be a sign of a potential generational pod ahead of us because we're sharp right out of the gates.
Yeah, sharp right out of the gates. Another pod where we don't pre-pod before. We're really good at not pre-podding and just jumping right into it because you never know what could happen. I mean, stuff has happened where we have to go back and re-record because one of us may have said something that we shouldn't have. But we're dialed. We're ready to pod. It's Quail. It's Boots. It's Charlotte. I'm ready for it.
We should have we should save. As we said before, we don't like to edit the pod. We like to go clean through, let the content rip. But every now and then, you're just going off the cuff and you're like, maybe it was too mean to a guy or whatever. We should save all the extended clips, anything that's been cut from the pod, and save it for the core OG ball knowers and release it as a standalone at like the end of the year.
Yeah, but there could be some lawsuits that come out of that, so it has to be a massive paywall to get behind. So TBD.
I'm trying to think if there's anything we've actually ever said that would yield a lawsuit. I'm gonna go no on that. I'm gonna go hard no on that. What would you even have to say about a professional golfer for them to sue you afterwards? Because the reason I say this is because I want to talk about Shane Lowry today.
Yeah, we'll start with that.
And this could lead to an
edit. It could be right now. It could be right now.
It could be right now. But we're just going to go. This is perfect, actually. I've had enough of Shane Lowry. And we've talked about Shane Lowry on the pod so many times. And I've been on Shane Lowry so many times. And I was on him at the Masters. And we've talked long and long about the lack of dog. I wasn't on him yesterday. I faded Lowry in DFS on the site. In the theory, I should be rooting against him, and not want him to play well. I was infuriated by his performance yesterday. And my biggest problem is he is a nice guy. We saw Shane out there on Tuesday or so. Nice guy, came over, remembered you from TGL. What I'm about to say is not that I actually think Shane Lowry is a bad person or a bad dude. I think he's just so overwhelmed by the stress of the moment. Why is he always pointing out shit in the crowd? Why is he always telling the cameramen to move? Why is he always turning around and looking at a volunteer like they did something when he fucked up? He needs to focus on hitting better golf shots and less time worrying about what everybody else is doing. I've had enough. Jers, I can't do it anymore.
This isn't like the first time that we've seen moments like that with Shane, but it was this was one of the first weeks where it was Shane versus another golfer in like a two-man battle, I guess, down the entire fourth round. So we were seeing every little thing from Shane. And yeah, I guess in contention, he might get a little bit feel the pressure more than he does everyone does. But he talked about, or Rory spoke about, hey, shoot 4 under, you're going to do this. So he really wants to impress his best friend, I think, more than anyone. And I think that's getting to him. Tad maybe thinks he can do whatever he wants because Rory can do whatever he wants, takes people's phones and say whatever he wants to the crowd. But I did notice that from Shane. I didn't watch all 18 holes, but I caught some of that banter with the crowd and with the people.
And there wasn't anything yesterday that was so egregious. I think I saw a video of him going around where he didn't high five a little girl. That's
which is normal. That's nothing.
That's nothing. That's not what I'm saying. But and there's been times, I can't remember, I think it was at the Open, his ball went OB and he lost it on a volunteer. I think it might have been at Troon last year. He really went off on somebody. And again, I think Shane is a good dude, from all other accounts, but he clearly is so overwhelmed by the moment of being hard in the mix as he was last year at Troon. And every time it's the same. How many times are we going to do it where he goes into the final round and you made a great point. He's up against Sepp. Those guys, are of equal level, largely. You would think if you just said, as golfer, Shane Lowry's a major champion.
Same odds, around the same weekly.
Yeah, going into the final round, one of the best chances he has to win. And it's the same thing every time. And it's just pissing me off. But even when I'm not on him, I'm just, I don't even know what to say anymore. I'm just frustrated.
Yeah, I mean, it was a rather poor week of selections for me specifically. So I wasn't 100% dialed to the Sunday. Plus I was driving to Charlotte. So I want you to tell me a little bit more about Shane's antics and Shane's shots. But he was in it till the last hole. I saw he hit some, he got off to a nice start, I believe. But yeah, it's happy for Sepp more than anything.
And to your point that we never plan ahead of time the pod, nor do we catch up from the last time. Obviously, we're texting often throughout the day, but we don't talk ahead of the pod. So sometimes it heads in whatever direction it heads. And yeah, let's talk about a couple things that you mentioned. First one, I don't think, and we always talk about on a weekly basis, or each time we do boots, we hop on here and we discuss, how we felt about boots, what we saw, what we think, what we can do better next time, so on and so forth, and good, bad, and everything in between. I would say this is the first time we have ever watched, or at least I have ever watched, the winner of the tournament a reasonable amount of time in practice. Someone who I was interested in. I wrote him up in my early leans. Like, Sepp made sense at this course based on what we thought the course was going to play like. But I wasn't interested in betting him because he was off the planet, off of the tee. And I feel he was off the planet. He said himself, and they talked about on the broadcast a lot, that he wasn't until Saturday. He talked to his coach and he started to drive it better. He was like, first 2 rounds, I was driving it crazy. I think the first 2 rounds, or in the second round, he lost 0.8 strokes off the tee. Overall, he only gained 0.4 for the entire week off the tee. But because of how bad he was driving it in the practice rounds, he didn't interest me to bet. And so, just like being, I think that's the first time that's ever happened for him. What were your thoughts on Sepp at boots and then how he ended up?
Yeah, before I go into my Sepp thoughts, fix your mic might have came a little bit unconnected, so mute yourself and fix that connection because it started to come out. But yeah, we did see Sepp, and the only thing that I really noted from seeing Sepp was that his caddy was injured, and then I didn't realize that he wasn't going to actually be on the bag. And I saw this story. I think it was Drew Matthews got on the bag for 1 week, won a golf tournament. So shout out to him. Great week for him. Like, what a life he has there. But yeah, Sepp was way off the planet left. I remember noting that he was way off the planet left, but that's not going to kill you around Philly Crick, and that ended up not killing you. But more than anything, I wanted to give you a shout out because you said the winner is either going to gain 8 strokes on approach or 8 strokes putting. Sepp gained 8 strokes putting, which is really, I also had a great approach week as well. So that approach plus putting build and also with a balanced golfer was what we were looking for. So like you said to me yesterday, like, we nailed the course keys. We're not on the right guys. And if we're never going to claim that we're going to be the best at picking the right guys. We're just going to give you some information to make your selections hopefully better. But sometimes we get it right. Sometimes we get it wrong, but we nailed that course. So a huge shout out to you, huge shout out to Boots. And I'm excited for the week ahead. And also Philly Crick. I thought it was awesome. I thought it was a great result down the stretch for sure.
Yeah, I don't think I've.
Oh, you sound way better.
I sound way better.
Way better.
Is it?
It was only. No. It was
good?
only like perfect. Now it was all for like 35 seconds. You're good.
Okay. You sure? We're good.
100%. And we're keeping this in.
Yeah, easily. So apologies for that 35 seconds. What I was saying in those 35 seconds, if it was choppy or bad, was that I was interested in Sepp. He was man of the North. He was wearing shorts and a polo in the terrible conditions every day. That's something we talked about when we were there. I saw him on the range a lot. We always say we're not range reporters. Striping irons on the range. Like, his swing is generational. Generational drawsman. But ultimately, it's the putter that just gets lights out for Sepp. And I did say that I thought the winner would either gain 8 on approach or 8 putting. Those were the key areas for the weekend. And to your point, I don't think I've at least ever been so, like, having how the course played out, which I think was up in the air. I don't think we felt incredibly confident exactly how the course was going to play. Played out like I thought it was going to, but also all the golfers I selected outside of Hideki, who had one great round, but was just like a fucking roller coaster of a golfer for the week. The golfers, terrible performances.
Putting.
But I think that
our putt's so bad.
I think, yeah. But at the end of the day, I think that was one of the reasons at the beginning of the Boots pod last week where I said, like, I think it's hard to say what type of player here, because ultimately when you get into spike approach or spike putting, especially it turns out to be spike putting that's the difference maker. Like, Sepp gains 8 putting, there's not much you can do. So shout out to Sepp, and I wish I was on him, and he made sense. And shout out to everybody who's on him, because I think he was chart, maybe second or third on the chart. That's also you have a statement there.
No, I mean, good win for the chart. What's that? Chart winner number maybe 3 of the year. So they're beating me, which is good. On pace, which for another good chart year, another 7-win chart year. So shout out the chart. As always, we love you, Andy, and you do God's work. But yeah, I was never going to get the Sepp. I am happy for Sepp. Sepp is one of my 2 winners this year, so always a special place in my heart for a nice 70-1 winner. And he got after he won at the Amex, he got on a run where he was like in the mix hard the next like month after that. So I'm interested to see how Sepp keeps going after this week. But Sepp's an often chart guy. I believe he was charted Augusta too. People like to bet Sepp.
I mean, he's just
good. He's good at everything.
He's just good at golf. I mean, he's gained over 4 on approach, and this is where I did have interest in Sepp in the sense that we knew it was probably going to be either spike approach or spike putting. And Sepp gives you both of those possibilities, especially at a course where we knew off the tee wasn't really going to matter that much. And we saw Hideki shot the low round of the day on Saturday by 2 strokes while simultaneously losing a stroke and a half off the tee. That tells you everything you need to know about how Philly Cricket Club played this week. Most golf courses on the PGA Tour, if you lose a stroke and a half off the tee, you are shooting one of the worst rounds of the day. Like, you can't overcome losing that many strokes off the tee because of how it feeds into your ability to get the ball onto the green and ultimately give yourself birdie opportunities. And at Philly Crick, you could give yourself birdie opportunities from anywhere if you hit a good recovery shot. And Sepp's iron play is comically good. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 out of the last 18 events. He's gained over 4 strokes on approach, a spike approach effort.
Mm-hmm.
That's unbelievable. And in that same stretch, this will be his 3rd time in like 12 starts where he's gained at least 6 strokes putting. So he just gives you the ability to spike unbelievably in those 2 areas.
Another thing I wanted to pat ourselves in the back on was for the Philly Cricket around the green prowess, because Sepp is not a good around the green player at all. I think he lost strokes around the green too, and obviously ended up winning the golf tournament. It wasn't important last week. It was fairly on the easier side. Like, he's not gonna, although Quail Hollow is not a mega difficult around the green course, he's not really gonna get away with that as much as he was able to last week. And also, you mentioned getting away with some wild off the tee shots. Someone who wasn't able to do that was Nick Dunlap yet again, losing 8.5 strokes off the tee. Tough scene from our guy, Nick Dunn. We mentioned that there was like 3 spots on the entire course to go OB. I think you texted me like Thursday morning or early Friday morning. Nick Dunn OB twice on 1 hole. So tough scene for our guy. We know the solution. Shout out wrists. But I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know. It's just got to happen quick.
We need to talk to him. That's what has to happen. Like, I think we need to talk to him about what Riss said. Tell him to stop practicing any other skill. Go to the driving range and hit your driver every day for the rest of your life until you can drive again, and then come back and figure the other stuff out. But with wrist, it's only a week or 2. He could be back by Oakmont if we can get to him easily this week.
Oh, trust me. Yeah, Riss got me dialed in about 3 weeks. So I think Riss can get Dutton dialed in 4 days.
We should have the listeners send in their videos, swings to wrists, and he does analysis on Twitter.
That is Wrist's dream, and he will take all of them. And I think he is worth a X dollar swing video. He will give you a great analysis. So this is us, no free ads, advertising for our guy, Vincerex employee, Mr. Wrist. Do it. Get in the Discord.
I like the sounds of that. I need it because I plan on. I haven't played much golf. Last time I golfed was.
If you send him a video of you now and then a video of you when you were generational, like a prime golfer, he will match that up in 10 minutes. Truly.
Okay. That actually, I like the sounds of that. But yeah, Nick Dunn. It was at Valhalla. I've got the hat on in honor, obviously, of the PGA Championship. It was at Valhalla where I declared Nick Dunn was going to break Jack's record. So a year later, he's losing 8.5 strokes off the tee. That's tough.
That's tough. Remember when he was like 2 under through 3 at Holla? We thought he was going to win. And so was Yags.
Oh yeah, Yags. And then we had. I will say, Holla last year. Boots was a generational experience when we had the final group with Colin and Xander. Ultimately, it went your way that day, but that was generational. But second place. But yeah, so shout out Sepp. And like I said, I was reflecting this weekend while watching the golf, thinking, based on what this course asks, and to your point, the limited round the greens, Sepp makes all of the sense in the world. If you just took how we felt the course was going to play, Sepp makes all the sense in the world. So I therefore have to and I think that because again, we're always assessing, we get these opportunities to see these players. You want to use it to the best of your ability. And to your point, it's always learning. And we've said a million times on the pod about this side, about everything we do, just trying to get better next time. I think my takeaway was if Sepp or a player, if a player who also has dog, that's the thing. Sepp was 10th in the field in dog. Sepp has dog
Really?
without question. And he was great. I think and this is another piece too. The model, which I built after seeing how the course was going to play, had his win probability at 3.8%. And shout out Data Golf and all the other great sites that do modeling. And I'll pull up the number because I want to get it exactly right if I'm making a statement. I think Data Golf was around 1.9 or 2%. Basically, Sepp was 8th in the our model and 16th in the odds for the week or something like that. So all the signs, everything that says this is how the course is playing is saying to bet Sepp Straka. But because I saw him hitting it off the planet off of the tee, I was like, I can't do it. But next time, if it's a situation where the thing the player is struggling with is not the key of that course,
right,
shouldn't hold it against him.
Yeah, and we both were in the camp. Sepp's not driving it well, but this is okay. He's going to be able to still hit great iron shots. I will Vic lap my call of -16, the only Vic lap I had of the week, honestly. Winning score -16. I was like, there's no way this is getting the -20. Sepp won. I think he won at 16, but it could have been 17. So shout out that.
Hold on, I'm pulling up the
Data Golf.
Just no, our model. Always shout out Data Golf. Also, by the way, I've shouted them out a million times, so this is in no way a negative to them. It's just pointing out the fact of not taking advantage of having the right course keys, and then ultimately for us picking the golfers that all the data and all the numbers based on what we were seeing, at least for me, were pointing to. And yeah, so Sepp last week in the Vincerix model was at 3.88%. And if you go to hold on just a second here. If you then calculate the implied odds off of that percentage, basically Vince in the model had Sepp around 25 to 1, basically.
Wow.
And he went off at 45,
50. Yeah.
What are we doing? Why aren't we betting Sepp? That's on it.
Right.
That's bad. That's my reflection, basically, is that's a mistake.
I mean, you have, and I saw firsthand how you and Vincent, our AI robot, make this model. Absolute masterclass. Think of Carl Smith on Justin Thomas's bag. It's true artistry, what you do with the model. And I don't use it as much as I probably should. And you have been great with it. So shout out that model. Get on the site and see it. And yeah, we talk about all the boot stuff and all the eye visual insights that we have, but we have a ton of data and numbers and AI insights on the site. So if you're new to that, definitely go check it out.
Speaking of Vince, heartbreak for Vince in Myrtle Beach. He went to the top of the board with Mac Hughes, and I was skeptical, but Vince makes his decisions, and I trust his gut. That's his job, is to make his choices. Did you see what happened?
Yeah. Oh, I saw.
You were in Myrtle. You were in Myrtle. You were basically boots at Myrtle. What was your take on what happened down the stretch in generational win for our boy Ryan Fox?
Wait, so talk me through if I'm wrong. He had a poor approach shot and then he missed the par putt?
No, he was up one. He made 2 birdies in a row, I think.
Yes, okay.
Yeah. 15, 16 birdie, 17 par, 18, one shot lead. Ryan Fox was in the clubhouse, finished at -15, I think, or whatever, one shot behind. And Higgs was also one shot behind, but in the final group with.
Right. I saw Hughes make that bogey on 18, but I didn't see how he made the bogey.
He drove it off the planet into the trees. And so then he drove it into the planet off the trees, where Fox also in regulation drove it into the planet off the trees, but Fox was able to hook one. Fox just hitting a fucking insane flighted hook out of the trees. Yeah. He's been in the trees so many times in his career that the flushed hook from literally off the planet. It was a great shot. I don't remember where it ended up, but every announcer was like, that was a golf shot right there. So then Mac Hughes in regulation drives off the planet, but he's boned. He has no out. He's looking for every option that he's got. Higgs is in the fairway. Mac Hughes chips out. Higgs hits it to like 25 feet, not very close. And then Hughes hits a nasty shot, lands back the green, spins it down to like 10 feet. Higgs misses. Hughes misses. So bogeyed 18 by hitting off the planet. And then in the playoff, Hughes hit it off the planet again. It bounced right out into the middle of the fairway.
That was the best. That was like a Brian Campbell straight. That was insane. I watched the playoff, and then so apparently Fox did the same things he did in regulation. Hit it in the trees as well. Hit another crazy hook. That obviously ended up chipping in, but yeah, that was the craziest shot I've ever seen, or bounce I've ever seen into the fairway from Mac Hughes on 18.
People who don't usually listen to the pod and maybe they only come for majors will be like, this guy is making up what he's about to say. He didn't actually feel this. I promise you what I'm about to say is true. Sometimes you've watched a golfer golf so many times. I've watched Ryan Fox in the mix millions of times. George, they said earlier in the round, because Hughes had it. Mac Hughes should have won. He truly blew it. His negative dog yesterday from Mac Hughes. Really bad. They said, the announcer goes, oh, Ryan Fox, this guy's won big events. This guy wins big tournaments like the BMW Championship in Europe. Like, this guy's a winner. They said that about Fox, and I was like, this is so sick. And then, so we've seen him in this position a million times. And every time I bet him, he's lost every time. I've never bet on Ryan Fox when he wins, but he's my favorite golfer. He can only win when I'm not on him. He's blown it in the mix when I've bet him thousands of times. I've experienced
this. Historically a low dog player.
Historically, but every now and then he does show serious dog. Like I had Aaron Rye when Fox won at the BMW Championship. Like, I've been hurt by Fox, but I'm still happy every time he wins because I love him so much. He stood over the chip, and they had the camera angled so that you could see him chipping, and then the pin. It's that video they posted on Twitter. Just a beautiful setup. The second he made contact with it, I just knew it was going in. I had no doubt whatsoever that Ryan Fox was going to chip in and win the playoff. As soon as it made contact, I was like, it's in. The second landed on the green, dead center for the pin, dropped straight in, and then you just knew the next guys were going to miss. The man has no dog, but he also does magical things every once in a while.
I mean, that's what happens when there was probably a good, I would say, 4 seconds from him pulling the club out of the bag to the ball going in the hole. He got up there, didn't even look at the live, hit it as Ryan Fox does. He doesn't take his time. He does his thing. And sometimes good things happen when you're just going through the motions and doing your thing. Kind of hurts him more than it helps him, but it worked out this time. So shout out Ryan Fox. The PGA Championship can go on now with him and Marco Penge in the field.
Yeah. I don't think we were even going to cover the tournament on the site at all. No model, no picks, no DFS, no boots. If Ryan Fox wasn't in, but now he is. But that was a bad beat for Vincent, and it would have been such a sick day for Vincent to have double winners because Marty Cooves,
is he in the PGA?
He should be.
Yeah.
If last year I declared on the PGA pod that Nick Dunn was going to break Jack's record, I'm not going to go that far again today, but I do have a strong take about young guns and about European young guns about Marty. Do you want to hear what it is?
Yeah, and I also want to say before you get into this that the young TaylorMade athletes are the sharpest looking guys that exist. Shout out Martin Coover. So keep going.
It's hilarious you said that because when I was watching Martin, and for those people listening, they always go, you guys use nicknames. We don't know what you're talking about. Sorry, always. We can't promise that we will remember to say not the nicknames. We're just talking, and whatever it goes is how it goes. If you like it, great. If you don't, that's okay too. No hard feelings. We totally understand. But in this scenario, because this guy is going to end up being a multi-time major winner, probably career Grand Slam, it's important that we get his name right out of the gates. Martin Couvra is who we're talking about. He is a 22-year-old Frenchman who 2 years ago won as an amateur on the Challenge Tour, which is basically the Corn Ferry Tour of Europe. Didn't earn his card because he was an amateur turned pro, like didn't get enough points. Last year, he goes down, plays the Challenge Tour, graduates to the DP. He's already got like 4 top 10s coming into the week. He wins the tournament. Generational flushes off the tee. And what was so impressive was his wedge play. But as the TaylorMade point I was going to make is, I was thinking he looks so much like a top talent out here in the TaylorMade gear. It really does stand out. And with the spider putter too, you're like, he's making everything. Same with Carl.
Yeah, like these TaylorMade's got the gear figured out. They really do. And they know the young guns. Like whoever's the TaylorMade like scout knows what he's doing. and I want to talk to that person because they know ball. We gotta get him on the pod just for future references. But yeah, I was watching that final round, cheering you and Vincent on. I was getting the rental car. Didn't have much to do, so it was a great little sweat. Kuvra, I think he shot 7 under in the final round after kind of having a bad Saturday with the 36-hole lead. So that's dog. You're gonna have a bad round. You're gonna have to fight through adversity. Serious dog. And Brandon Robson-Thompson has some of the least dog in the world. Had never had a chance with the 3-shot lead going into never had a chance.
That's the funny thing because I was going for back-to-back on the DP. And anytime you have a chance to go back-to-back on any bet, we talked about it at Boots when we were walking out of the course. I said, I need to hit a DP winner this week. Back-to-back on the DP would be sick. And he played great the first 2 rounds. And it made sense because he's already has 3 top 5s in his first 12 starts on the DP, and he stripes in everything. And it's like, this guy just looks way better at golf than most of the other players on the DP, and he's 70-1. And the first 2 rounds, he was cruising. And I was like, he's not going to continue cruising. And if he does, we're talking about the greatest player of all time. It's the DP. He's going to fuck it up. You don't want to have a 2-shot lead going into Saturday on the DP. No. It never, ever has hit, ever. I had no confidence. I was like, this is better than not being in this position, honestly. But still, he's not going to win. He goes out on Saturday. I wake up to watch, 5 holes in. I open my phone. It's +1. Everybody else is birding every single hole. And I'm like, here we go. But then I was like, wait a second. Is this guy so far ahead of his years? And Riss actually texted me this too. And he knew to win on the DP. They talked about his caddy has DP experience. He's friends with all the French golfers, the Romain Longascas of the world. He probably knows Pabs and Victor Perez.
In the field now.
Yeah. And maybe he just knew that's the key to winning on the DP. Drops off. He wakes up on Sunday and goes, these guys suck at golf. I'm so much better at them. Let me just fucking birdie every hole. And he did. He made so many birdies. It was
so many birdies.
It was such a sick final round. It honestly was so impressive. And this, I'm ready. People are like, what is Adam's take that he was going to give when he first brought this up? If Marty was in the field this week at Quail, he would be more likely to win than either of the Højgaards.
That is a really bold take. Wow.
I'm saying in current form, the tournament, if Marty flies over and gets in the field with Nikolai and Rasmus and they tee it up, and I would make Marty the most likely winner out of that bunch.
That's a really inside baseball unique to this pod take. And I like that one. Yeah. And it's hard to argue because the Højgaards have lost the short game. They just don't know how to chip or putt.
And if the Hojas went over to the DP, do you think they would have 1, 2, 3 top 5s and a win in their last 10 starts? I genuinely don't.
I think they would. I think they would.
I think Rasmus might, because Rasmus always plays consistent on the DP, but
Nico striping, Rasmus cannot chip. Rasmus is a legitimate 35 handicap around the green.
This was end of last year, and these are the better DP fields. The other thing is you're going up against Hatton Lee. Now, with that said,
serious dog.
Serious dog. And so for Marty,
serious dog.
Because Hatton started the final round 2 shots ahead of Marty and 2 shots behind your boy Brandon. And BRT, Brandon. Is it? I literally get Thompson, Robinson, and Robinson, Thompson backwards every time.
I thought it was Thompson. I used to say BTR. It's Robinson, Thompson now. Confirmed.
It's so hard.
Thompson, Robinson sounds better.
I agree. That's why I always say it that way.
Has one ear in.
He went nuclear low on Saturday. I was like, fuck. Yeah. But Hatton, was 2 shots clear. And when I woke up, whoa, my voice just gave out on me. So much potting lately. But when I woke up, Marty had birdied the first hole, but I think he was 3 behind Hatton or something. He was 3 behind a few holes in, and I was like, well, Marty could play better. Clearly, Thompson's not playing good. Marty can get into the mix. He chased down, put so much pressure on Hatton because Marty was birdieing every hole with some of the sickest wedge play I've ever seen. They were tucking the pins right next to the water, and that's why he was able to come back because Hatton had to play out to the middle of the greens a lot of time because Hatton was driving off the planet. Marty was 120 out. He was going at the pin. Marty, this is the last thing I'll say because people are we don't give a fuck about this guy. But we do, and the hardcore ball knowers care. I knew he was going to win. When on, I think it was either the 14th or 15th hole, 13th, somewhere between 13 and 15. It was you had to nuke it over the corner on your drive, and then if you did that, you had like 115 yards to the green, but the pin was like kind of tucked up on a ridge.
He got it on top of that ridge.
But he made his opponent mark their ball 15 feet short on line with the pin. He made the guy jog up from 115 yards and mark his ball, not even close to the hole. It was 15 yards, but that's where Marty was going to land his wedge to have it hit into the face of the hill, skip one time, and land it 5 feet up the hill. He literally hit exactly what he said do. And at that moment, I was like, this guy is in a different planet right now. And he finished so strong from there, and Hatton fell back.
And the wedge shot on I think 15 or 16, the par 5 over the water, the soft-handed one, like 80 yards, like half wedge, was sick. And he had some really, really good up and downs too. Like he had one squirrely shot that was like right at the green. He had to get it over a hump, gave himself like 11 feet, bang that. Tailor-made spider, not a big deal. So shout out Marty Cooves.
A young gun who gets it rolling with the spider.
Tough to beat.
Honestly, I'm considering putting is my specialty. That's easily the strongest suit of my game.
Generational green reader.
Yeah, and it comes from the green reading, but it's less of like my stroke doesn't, and isn't necessarily great, but I'm all right at reading the greens. I've usually been a blade guy, but even yesterday, I was watching Marty roll him, and I was like, he's not going to miss. He is not going to miss, and he never did. And it's so nice. It happens so rarely, and it's like the only joy when it happens in golf betting. When just in a final round, the player makes every putt that they look at from every distance. And every time they hit it to 8 to 12 feet, they make it. And you're like, this is great. He didn't to start. He putted unbelievable. But long story short, the reason we're talking about him this much is this guy's legitimately good.
Good golf, for sure. For sure.
I will say today that he will go down as the best French golfer of all time.
That is a bold take, but I'm down for it.
Who's the best French golfer of all time? Pabs when he won Torrey. Like
it's not Rosner. He's got wins.
Well, Rosner, 10 straight made cuts on the PGA Tour. But like, how many French golfers?
The banners.
We love the French golfers, but how many have even won on the PGA Tour? And I think Marty's going to have his tour card next year, and he's going to be out there absolutely generationally striping and minting his wedges and putting well. That's a perfect way to win.
Remember when we made Rasmus minus 10,000 to make the PGA Tour? Marty might be further than that. Better odds or worse odds, I mean.
Hatton's my favorite golfer in the world, honestly.
Infinite dog.
On the
Shout
final
out
hole,
too. Hatton guy.
On the final hole, and PGA Championship, it ties in perfectly because he won it in San Francisco.
At Harding Park. Yeah.
Who could forget? Home game. Speaking of San Francisco, speaking of Boots Olympic Club for the US AM. Obviously, that's not even from a betting perspective. That's just for the ball knowers who we want to get in early. I'll be there, and it's going to be generational.
When is that? July?
August. Beginning of August, I think. And it's going to be the conditions that time of year. It's going to be magical.
I'm going to have to fly out.
Vince will fly you out. Vince will cover it. It'll be a generational event at the Olympic Club. Looking forward to that. But Hatton on 18, I needed because Kuvra posted 2 shots ahead with 3 to go, and the final 3 holes were hard. But Marty was just striping and making putts, so he just finished kind of nicely. Never got in any trouble, and just finished it off strong, which never happens on the DP. And I was like, this guy is just not DP. This guy's better than the DP. Basically, this is not how you do it on the DP. He's just
imagine being DP. It's like one of my worst nightmares.
You kind of are. You usually get off to a pretty good start through like a few holes, and then things turn sour. But Hatton, so I was like, I'm probably fine because it's unlikely these guys birdie 2 out of the last 3 holes, but it's Hatton, and who knows what he's going to do. He's going to aim at the pin every time. Maybe he's going to hold it from the fairway. He gets to 18, needs to hold it from the fairway. He hits it, and he immediately screams to his caddy, "It's online! It's online!" And he's like yelling at his ball while it's flying towards the hole, and I'm like, no fucking way is this guy really about to hole it out. And it lands, and it's not even close. Like it landed like 30 feet short, probably. And I breathed a sigh of relief, but I had to tip my cap. Like, you're betting against a guy and you need him not to hole out on the final hole, and he's screaming at his ball that it's online. You couldn't scare me more. That's so Hatton. It's extremely Hatton. I'm wondering what we're going to title this pod: Martin Kuvra and the pre-PGA Championship outlook. Just because we're 35 minutes in and we haven't touched on Quail Hollow, and that is the ethos of Vincerix of this pod. So shout out to everyone still listening, and also just if you're still listening, we will have another show
tomorrow to recap what we've seen, what I saw at Quail Hollow. So don't be scared because we're not going to pod for 3 hours today.
Yeah, I could do 3 hours on Cooper.
Easily.
Like,
we could go every DP.
Because at the end of the day, I'm excited for the PGA Championship, but my mind is on 3 straight DP events in Soudal. If going for 3 in a row at Soudal is a generation.
Soudal is the next event.
Yeah, it's PGA Championship this week, so there's no DP, and that was the thing. It was DP, then a week off, and then Tommy. It came back, hit DP, then it's the PGA, and then we get Soudal, the best event of the year.
It's the easiest handicap of the year.
It's a generational opportunity.
Oh, this is written in the stars. And we have to talk to Thomas. I have to talk to Thomas this week and see if he's going out there.
You have to, because I need to mentally prepare if Tree's going to be there and I have to worry about like 6-1 or 8-1 Tree. Because the reason the DP has been nice to bet this year is there's no good golfers. Hattong's the favorite every week, and Hatton was like 400-1 at times last year.
Yeah. Do you know how
legitimately
401? Do you know how many fairway woods Thomas Dietrich will hit at Soudal if he plays off the tee?
Power draws.
So many
off the tee.
So many. Oh.
But yeah, so shout out to the listeners. We've said a million times we can't do the pod, we can't do boots, we can't do the site, we can't have fun without the support of the listeners, both on the podcast and who subscribe to the site.
And on Spotify.
Yeah, we're back on Spotify. So if you are a Spotify, well, we don't want to get ourselves. 2 straight weeks the pod is successfully posted to Spotify. We'll see how things end up, but yeah, so we're up on Spotify now. If you enjoy the pod, 5-star review, like and subscribe on YouTube, any of those things, we obviously appreciate it. We always say if we earn it, if you enjoy the pod, if you find it valuable or entertaining for your week. And then, of course, you want the next level of detail. Jers will have boots down there at Quail Hollow this week on Tuesday and Wednesday. You're down there already. It was rained out today, which is unfortunate, but also makes now we need to see what the course looking like after all of this rain. But also at the same time, Quail Hollow is a course that we do have the shot link for. Jers, no, there's the shot link at Quail.
Can confirm. We've played it before.
And we have a bunch of PGA data. I'm just excited for this week. It's a little bit of everything. It's all sorts of things. You've got the boots report. I'm going to have guys I'm thinking about, so on and so forth. We've already got the course preview up. I'm not excited that the PGA Championship is at Quail Hollow. I'd rather it be at Valhalla, honestly.
Really, that's a take. I didn't think you were going to say.
Not 2 years in a row. Not like this year I wanted to be Valhalla, but I was more excited about Valhalla even after going there the first day and being like, this place is a disgrace. At least it's a 1,000%. New course. I just don't want to see Quail Hollow again. But with that said, you add in all the data and information we have, plus you add in it's a major and there's boots. It's just from that perspective, it makes it a good week theoretically to hopefully put together some good information.
Yeah, and I don't think Quail Hollow is like a bad golf course either. I just wish we were going to a new track. And we have all the data. Quail usually has a good finish. It's gonna be a fun week, a visual watching golf. But it's a major week. We want a new course. That's all we're saying. And I think that's what you're saying too. But nonetheless, we're here. We have a ton of numbers. We have a ton of information coming to the site, coming to the podcast feeds, coming to Spotify New Year. So definitely check it out and hope you enjoy the rest of this one.
I'm thinking if this is an accurate take that I'm about to give. I was also thinking about the fact that I was doing that math earlier in the show on the odds, and I was like, hopefully that math was right. Doing real-time math on the pod, risky business, but hopefully it was right. Okay.
We have so many Couvre clips to post this week. We should just do all Couvre.
What if we delete the rest of the pod, just release the Couvre bits? We got a
that's your PGA Championship review.
We got a like on Twitter from Vic Perez tracker.
Yeah, and we're dialed.
So, yeah. To kind of tie things back, because we also usually we recap the PGA Tour event.
We did at the top.
We did. We gave Sepp. We talked about the course a lot. I was just curious of tying it now into Quail. Do you have any other players based on where they finished on the leaderboard at Philly Crick, like Justin Thomas, who is a player that we had number 1 in the boots report from how he was playing, looked better than Rory. And he was generationally striping, and he did generationally stripe. It looked like he was going to win there for about 9 holes to go. He was going for back-to-back. I kind of didn't really consider betting him because I bet him at Hilton Head, and I was like, I'm not going to bet him twice in a row at like 16 or 18 to 1, whatever he was. It wasn't terrible odds. Yeah. It was reasonable.
No.
But he kind of did the opposite of what he did at RBC. Didn't play good down the stretch, missed some easy putts. Don't know just if you had any take on JT's performance, because we talked about Sepp. We also talked about Shane actually at the start, and JT was honestly the only one who really had a chance to win with like 9 holes, 15 holes to go.
Yeah, I mean, JT was the best guy we saw out there during the week. We rated him number 1, like you said, and it finished runner-up, had a chance to win down the stretch, and the stats will confirm that, striping to a different level. Obviously, he's going to be giga popular this week. It makes so much sense. Course history plus recent form. What am I going to say? What am I going to nitpick? Yeah, I'm excited for Justin Thomas's outlook this week. Am I going to get there? We'll see come Wednesday. But another great week from JT. He's back to being the top 3 ball striker in the world, just hitting it as well as he's ever hit it in the world in his life. So JT should be excited. JT should feel very confident this week.
So based on last week's boots, when versus this week's boots, obviously isn't a course we're very familiar with. We know a lot about this course. I don't think it's rocket science to think that distance, long iron play, and putting get the job done at Quail Hollow. That also gets the job done in every PGA Championship of
recent, yeah, and the U.S. Open.
Yeah, 6-7 years. We know that's what we're on the hunt for, I think. So when you're going there, like, what are you going to be on the lookout for when you get there? Hopefully tomorrow when the weather, or this will be released Tuesday morning. So Tuesday when the weather is hopefully allows you to go.
So like, which is today, why today wasn't the end of the world. On major weeks, we usually do 3 days of boots. 1 day is like solely dedicated to like the course. And thankfully, this is Quail Hollow. We know it, and we scout all the numbers and scout all the yardage buckets, stuff like that. I think it's going to be an easier boots from my perspective because I don't have to go super in depth on what the course is going to do. It's going to be a lot of, obviously, I'm going to walk all 18 and chart this stuff, but it's going to be a lot of player focus. See who's doing what. I think I'm going to be looking for the keys that you already said, like who's driving it on a string, looks good with their long irons, and I'm going to really focus in on those 2 things. I think this is a really big week for who's doing what opposed to what the course is doing, but obviously all of that information, including what the course is doing because of the weather, will be up. But I in a grand scheme of things, who's striping the driver, who looks good into the green with those mid and long irons.
And also at the same time, I think one of the reasons I was on the fence of going, I usually only commit myself for new courses. Like we got a lot going on, so try to prioritize those, and you do such a great job, generally speaking. And then I was thinking about it, especially after last week's boots and stuff we talked about at the beginning, where we saw a lot of good stuff. The numbers made sense on certain guys, but then maybe the eye test on certain guys, said one thing or the other. I think I like this week being able to be here, work on the model, crunch the numbers, because I think at the end of the day, like, this is the first time in the model where there's Quail course history, PGA Championship course history, and Quail comp courses. Like all 3 of those things tying together, because like I said, and I wrote about this up on the site, the keys, if I was just writing a preview of Quail Hollow, not even thinking about the PGA Championship, did that, put it over here. And then I did a preview of the PGA Championship over the last 6 years, like on average over here, but didn't look at them and then combine them. You would think they're the same thing. And so I think there's a good opportunity here of really narrowing down on just a handful of players and try to deduce amongst them who's playing the best. And I think that comes away from JT last week. Like, of the guys at the top, of the top players, JT stood out as the best, and he was the best. I think this is the type of week where I'm not going to be really interested in that many guys. And I'm more curious, to then ultimately hear back a little bit on those guys specifically.
Yeah, because there's a very small, not small, but there's a very specific bucket of golfers who the majority of people are looking towards this week for very good reason, because they do X thing. So definitely drop a comment on this video, drop a comment on Twitter, or on who you need eyes on, who you need to see, and then we'll have that report in the week. I will say I'm definitely not worried, but not looking forward to the Quail Hollow walk. I've heard some tough things. I wouldn't say it's quite Kapalua-esque, or Kapalua, sorry.
Kappa is a good
Kappa. I know we should make a course called Kappa. I think I played something called Kappa. You got the Valhalla High got me. The Valhalla High got me.
Yeah, Kappa would be sick.
Yeah, so we'll see. I'm gonna get my steps in tomorrow and Wednesday, but definitely drop below who you're looking for in that specific bucket of players.
And this actually ties into something I was seeing with the model today too. I have only told you. I told you this. I don't even think I've told other people this. I almost mentioned it in the Discord today because I was going to mention the point that I'm just about to make, but I'll just do it now. When I first ran the model, when Vincent crunched the numbers at the Byron Nelson, and like I said, Vincent,
I know
the model. One thing I've always wanted to have up on the site, and just also for myself, is a true like win probability based model that factors in the stats of the course combined with our dog rankings, because I think dog really matters. And the reason Sepp, for example, was higher in Vince's model than maybe the odds were on average was partially because he was top 10 in dog. He's a guy who wins golf tournaments. He's a guy that down the stretch, and ultimately this model only for outright, like not. Because a lot of times the odds and, other models, you have to factor in top 20s, top 10s, things like that. So it affects things. Just being focused there. And so it's been improving. I've been messing around with it, and the nice thing is too about AI, better and better models are coming out all the fucking time. And like, I work in the space, so I get to see a lot of this up close, and it's exciting and I enjoy doing it. So it's been improving. But at the same time, AI is still wrong a lot of the time. And like, if you're not paying attention, it can spit out some crazy stuff that doesn't make sense. When it ran for the Byron, it had Scotty at 62% to win. And I was like,
whoa.
Yeah, I was like, okay, like,
Whoa.
yeah, Scotty fucks at golf, Vince, but like, chill, man. He's not that likely to win. And I kept trying to like get Vince to like work on the model, like think through, like, what are you doing here? This doesn't make sense. And he was like, nah, 62%.
62%.
And I was like, okay, this isn't going to work. So it honestly took me a while to like get the odds at least into a space that logically made some sense. Obviously, Scotty won by the easiest win anyone's ever. Scotty probably had 65% chance to win in the odds within like 9 holes. Like he instantly was shooting up there. And so I was like, okay, that's interesting. And so I've been just interested in how like Vincent, and then there's been some other times this year where like how the top of the board and select guys, same thing. JT at Harbortown was just like double in the model what his odds were a percentage, and it's like it was tilting towards guys near the top and Sepp last week where like it basically, and it makes sense, the rest of the field it's giving longer odds to than what the odds are the normal, like the long shots basically it's like out on a bunch of the guys. This week when I originally ran it, and I've made some adjustments since, it bunched Rory, Scotty, Bryson, and JT. It's such a bigger percentage of the pool than like what the odds would say. I can't remember exactly what it was, but basically it was like a huge difference that one of those 4 guys is going to win, and all their odds were pretty similar amongst those versus the field. Yeah. And I thought, oh, that's interesting, and made some adjustments. It's still like that. I think the model still leans that way, but the numbers would say that one of those 4 guys wins, basically. Do you agree with that, or do you think Vince is off in that capacity?
And so will the odds, and I think that's gonna. I'm like right now, I'm leaning towards betting in somewhat of a without market, even though I do have the rationale, and thanks to you, your guidance, and your strategy, I've been really dialing back the cards in terms of ROI. Like I can go less than 7x and stay on track all season long if I really wanted to. But I'm thinking I'm gonna go with maybe without if I really see some good stuff from one of those big 3-4 guys. Because like, how much do I really want to bet a 5-1 guy? I've been doing this. I mean, I really don't. But so I think that's all fair. And I really like that you touched on this, because this is not something we really talk on the pod. A lot of people listen just like the banter, like the funny nicknames. But if you're a data nerd or a sports numbers nerd at all, the stuff on the site is generational stuff. Like we don't touch on it too much on the pod, but there's so much information that you're going to get if you liked any of that last 5 minutes.
Yeah, a little bit of everything. We're just out trying to have a good time, talk ball, figure it out. And for the middle times, we're not experts. The stuff we talk about from a picking the golfer's perspective, like I get in my own way more often than anything else. And it's like you're always trying to improve. But I do think what has made this year one of the most enjoyable years for me, even though it's not like I'm massively profitable, I'm just a little bit over break even across all 3 tours. And my goal is, in conjunction across the tours to have a positive year. Obviously, that's the goal. And obviously, that's the mission. Switching to 9 to 11x cards and just sitting back. I rarely start a card above like 30, 40 to 1. When I do, it usually doesn't turn out too good. Like and I said that before the year that I was going to kind of stick to that strategy. It's made it less stressful for sure. And it's like, it helps you zone in. And like a lot of times, I think if people really reflected, and we say this all the time, like we're thinking out loud. I'm not saying that this is perfect. We're all like learning. Spending time and saying these 3 extra guys you add to the card or 2 extra guys or whatever, that changes it from the card being 10x. And when we talk about this, we're saying if you bet everybody to win the same amount, regardless of who wins on how much you net, we're aiming this year for in the 9 to 11 range. Those few extra guys you add, and sometimes, especially if it's a guy at the top of the board, that could change your card down to 5, 6 to 1. That speeds up on you really fast. Like it can really get away from you, and then it becomes difficult to catch back up. Versus like this year, I got off to a horrible start. I think across all the tours, I was probably down minus 15 points across the thing we're doing. And now to be back positive, just playing the longer game, had a few, the putts don't fall your way. They don't go your way at the beginning of the year. They start going your way. And now back-to-back winners on the DP. JT wins last week. Like, start to get some positive momentum, but it's not as rushed and like urgent. And I don't know if that's the right way to describe it.
No, you're right.
People who listen to this podcast, and golf betting can be a stressful thing. And at the end of the day, you should never do anything that's making you not have fun or like enjoy what you're doing. And I will say that just being a little bit more cautious on the card this year, I'm very happy that I did that.
Yeah, 100%. So hopefully you can learn something from in terms of card construction going forward. You don't have to do whatever you want, but definitely does catch up to you. If you're doing this on a weekly basis, track what you're doing on a weekly basis to see where you stand. I mean, you don't want to lose a ton of money. So definitely, maybe if it's not working for you so far, if you're down on the year doing 5 to 6, 7x cards, maybe go a little higher ROI, less guys, dial in on a few names.
Yeah, and I think what I'm saying is it also makes you just
think harder. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah,
on those names.
And I think that's where I'm saying it more than anything. I'm like, again, do literally whatever you want. If you want to bet a 2x card, bet a 2x card. I support like if whatever. It's at the end of the day, I think when you make content and try to do good stuff in the sports betting space from like information, data, everything you're trying to do, like it's never going to be perfect, and ultimately it's hopefully allows people to just do with what that information, what they wish to do. And ultimately it's your choices. And I hope nothing also we ever say, whether it's on the pod, on the site, whatever, it's like, you don't have to agree. Literally, yeah, like follow your choice in the day. And I think with that being said, everybody for like vast majority of the time who both supports the pod, the content side is so like of that frame of mind, which made it a great experience since day one of doing this. And I really appreciate everybody out there. So now 52 minutes in, Jers, we can kind of talk more about the board. We did, in a sense, talk about the...
Yeah, we talked about a few guys.
We talked about the top of the board a little bit, but of those 4 at the top of the board, the Rory, the Scotty, the Bryson, and the JT. And again, that's, I guess you could also... Oh, actually, Rom sneaks in there ahead of JT, but that was what Vince had the top 4, for example. Who, right this second, and I know you're going to go, and this can change your opinion, is your live fave?
Yeah, without seeing anything, probably Rory. I mean, how am I going to argue with Rory at Quail Hollow? He has the best form coming into this week than basically anyone that he's had in a while and he's had in years. He has a lot to play for. I mean, we counted this as a win for him before the season. It was like, all right, Rory's getting his major, his first major in a decade at Quail Hollow, and now he's got the yearly Grand Slam. This is the best chance for he's had. Like, it couldn't be a better setup for Rory to win the Grand Slam this year than we have here. So Rory wants this more than he's ever probably wanted a PGA Championship. So I think Rory is my guy up here. Got the big one. Crank driver?
I'm not an accurate prognosticator now of Rory's major performance because I was out on his majors for the longest of time. I will say I got back in on his majors after the U.S. Open last year, but I thought the U.S. Open was what he was going to win. I didn't think he was going to win the Masters. So that I preface what I'm about to say with that. You could just go, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about Rory. Totally fine. I just have a hard time believing that he is going. I know, yes, the Grand Slam, and he could win at Quail and be on the path to Portrush, all these things. He hasn't. There's no way he's been as locked in and focused about preparing for a golf tournament as
chance.
he was for the Masters.
Zero chance. And he's admitted that. And it's shown, I guess, a little bit in the stats. It's not like he was had a better stats leading up to the major. I mean, the Masters than he has the last week and a half. I guess you call it 0.5 week. So yeah, I do agree with that. I do, but I still think he's in good enough form to be plus the course history to be my guy up here. If I had to pick one, I'm not going to bet Rory, but if I had to pick one.
Yeah, that's fair. I think I want to make a take that I'm out on Rory, but I'm not quite confident enough to make it. But that's at least what's percolating in my head. But I'm also factoring in, am I biased against Rory? And we'll see. I'm going to keep thinking about it as the way it goes on. Obviously, it makes sense. He's number one in the model. Like nobody has to explain Rory making sense at Quail Hollow. Scotty's the one I think there'll be a lot of discussion about because this is the first major in a while where Scotty is longer odds you can get than you can on Rory right now. And Bet Online, you can get plus 550 on Scotty and you can get plus 500 on Rory. Scotty just played. I mean, it's not a real golf tournament, but he won a Korn Ferry Tour event by 25 shots last time he played. He looks amazing. He's finished top 10 in the PGA 4 of his 5 career starts, except the year he won the Masters the first time. He gained generationally approaching off the tee. But the reason he's not as popular, theoretically, is because he's never played at Quail Hollow. Jersey's added Quail Hollow chances his entire career. Lots of people are talking about that. What's your stance? Are you holding that against Scotty? Do you think that ranks him higher or lower this week?
Yeah, and especially the fact that he didn't play in Philly last week. Definitely a lot of preparation going into this week. It's clear he doesn't like this course. And I watched a good 5 minutes of the Grant Horvat Scotty video, and Scotty was like, yeah, I've never played Quail. I don't love Quail. I want to get out there and see it because he's only played it in the President's Cup. So I really do think, I mean, like I guess these top guys missed 1 or 2 signature events, but Scotty was missing out on like a free like $2 million last week. And he doesn't really just normally skip those. So I really think leading up to the PGA Championship, obviously he wants to win another major. He needs to take as much time as possible to both physically and mentally prepare for a golf course that he doesn't like. So, yeah, I think there's some concern.
Do you think he cares more about winning this week or winning at Colonial for the Texas two-step?
This week.
I think it's a coin flip. I think Scotty the reason he might be resting is why.
Is Colonial next week?
I think so. And we know how much Scotty wants to win at Texas. And if he can get both in the same year, he's the king of Texas. I think he does that so he can hold it against Spieth.
Yeah. That's fair.
He can be king of Texas. He never plays Valero. He never plays Valero, though. He gives Spieth his space in San Antonio. He's like, that's your event.
Yeah. Siwa, you can have it because Siwa was a Texas guy, so you can have it.
But so in all seriousness, I think I was leaning towards being in on the course history. Scotty doesn't like this course. We could have classic Scotty, the robot's not working, and he's angry, and he's looking at Ted, and he's screaming at Ted, and Ted's just like, "What do you want me to do, man?" I could see that happening this week, but he still will finish like T4, I think, in that scenario. Yeah. And so I've shifted to like
the long irons are going to be, and he's going to hit so many fairways,
and he's putting amazing. This theoretic, and this is a course where of around the green, not that big of a deal. And Scotty's generational around the greens, but he's been inconsistent. That's the only part of his game this year that's had any inconsistency. He won by a million strokes at the Byron, losing strokes around the greens. But he gained strokes around the green at the Masters. He gained so many ball striking last start, Jers.
So I don't even. What is it? What's the number?
I think it's 20.
20?
I think it is 18.1.
I'd say that's pretty good.
And 6 putting. And yes, he was playing against the Korn Ferry, but why couldn't he go to Quail Hollow and stripe it down the middle every single time and hit every iron to 15 feet and make like just enough putts to shoot one better than everybody else?
And that wasn't even the best approach week of his career. Was the bad beat? No, it wasn't the bad beat. It was the Memorial when he won last year. Gained a little bit more on approach, but yeah, generational stuff.
To be fair, the last time Scotty was generational on approach at Memorial, he went to Pine and famously. Ultimately, I'll take one of the Boots reports I'll trust the most is you on Scotty because I think we have a good Scotty eye.
We do.
At Valhalla, we were out on Scotty and then he got arrested. So honestly,
We'll Vic lap that. Yep.
keep an eye out. I guess you tried to go to the course today. So what was the traffic?
Yeah, logistics. We have to definitely have a traffic logistical report. Everything seems good. I mean, Charlotte's a city that's used to hosting big events, big concerts, stuff like that. So they're used to the
games. Everybody's
dude.
there for
everyone's there. They're selling out Bank of America Stadium regularly. But I do feel at home. I see a lot of Panther stickers. Like I haven't seen that like in my entire life, like seeing bumper stickers with Panthers on it. Like I'm like, wow, this is great. For those of you who don't know, I'm a Panthers fan. So it feels good to be in my city. I've been to Charlotte one other time. So I'm happy that I'm here just kind of soaking some in. I'm in a great spot right now. Saw a bunch of pros at the gym this morning. You saw the picture of the LA Fitness I posted this morning? Nicest LA Fitness I've ever seen. I think it's the Mecca of LA. So Charlotte's great. The logistics are great. I don't think there's going to be any arrests this year.
I do think that this is a special week for you you're a Panthers fan who's not even from Charlotte. You're a fan of one of the worst, most embarrassing franchises in sports, and not just sports in general, but the biggest league of sports that exists in the whole world.
Yeah.
And you don't have to be. This isn't forced upon you. But so most of the time, yeah, you're out there with your Panthers sticker. People are making jokes. They're saying, "What's going on here?" You're around the country with your Panthers sticker. You're home for once. This is a magical week for you. This is home strokes. This is home game vibes.
Yeah, home game. Yeah,
I might tail you blindly this week.
Yeah, and I have a massive Panthers tattoo on my leg that says "Keep Pounding." Will Gordon was like, "Is that a Panthers tattoo at the Valspar?" He's like, "Are you from Charlotte?" I'm like, "No, just born and raised a Panthers fan from New Jersey." So, big week for me. Definitely a home game.
The funny thing is, too, in 2005, I think. Yeah, this was 2005. NFC Championship. I would have been in like 5th or 6th grade, maybe 4th, 5th, 6th grade. I can't remember. And it was against the Panthers, and I went. And the Seahawks won to go to the Super Bowl for the first time. And Seattle sucks at sports. It was a generational moment. But I've always had that connection to the Panthers because I remember that so much as a kid. It's each time even to this day, when I see you and you say something about the Panthers, I think of that game every single time. But at least it's a positive thing to fall back on.
Yeah, I don't have many positive Panthers things in my lifetime, so hopefully soon.
We should do.
If I hit the winner this week, I'm claiming a Panther Super Bowl, though. That's a fact.
You should parlay all of your picks with the Panthers Super Bowl.
Yeah, why not?
What is did the Panthers do good in the draft? Were they successful?
Yeah, they got a Ted McMillan, is a receiver from Arizona.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I'm like a follow the NFL. I'm obviously a Seahawks fan. Like who doesn't watch the NFL? But like I don't just look at the draft grades for the for the draft grades for the Panthers. Where did they rank in their draft?
I mean, I proudly don't watch any other sports besides golf now. But except for the Panthers, Florida Panthers hockey, playoff hockey, watching that, and like I'll tune into like some Panthers games now. But I'm just like needed a year to just decompress from everything. So hopefully that next year, like we can have some hope. We finally got a weapon for Bryce, another receiver. So maybe a good thing soon. I was out on Bryce when he was first drafted. I was a Stroud guy, and now Bryce has had a good sophomore year. He was better than Stroud last year. So I think the vibes are high. Hopefully I can inject some of that. Andrew Novak's been high on the Panthers, so the vibes are high. The vibes are good.
That was going to be my question. What odds should BSB be this week?
He's 175. He should be 50. Oh, no, don't even say it. Don't even say it because I already said it. I know what you're going to say. Don't even say anything.
I shouldn't tell people what BSB is.
Oh, what it means? All right, fine. Say it.
I have to because people comment who is BSB, and to be fair, that would be an impossible one to figure out if you've never listened to the pod before. You'd be like, "Who the fuck?" Someone
commented like, I think.
And that's a shout out to the listeners. Like that's why we do the bits. That's why the people who like it. That's who we do all this for. At the end of the day, and shout out for the people who know what BSB is, but. This is Andrew Novak, friend of the pod, famously had never won a golf tournament before until he came on the pod with his best friend, Ben Griffin. The next day, they won a tournament for the first ever time. Bermuda specialist, who could forget?
Print the shirts.
You sure he shouldn't be like 10-1, 20-1? Strokes gained home game. Panthers, he feels the same way you feel being in Charlotte.
Yeah, yes. And as soon as I posted on Twitter yesterday, as soon as I got into Charlotte, saw a Watford bumper sticker. So the Novak vibes are just like, he's in Charlotte. He's at should feel at home next to Bank of America Stadium. He did say on our pod he's never been to Quail before, so factor that in. But he also never played Harbor Town, and then he almost won there. He's 175 to 1. He should be probably around 15 to 1 if we're being honest.
By the way, and shout out, we also on Twitter, we've got some sick shirts.
This is the Charlotte segment of the pod, these last 10 minutes.
Yeah. This shirt, Kohler does great work. Shout out Kohler. He makes the videos and the shirts and does some of the branding stuff. And I really appreciate all that he's done this year, because Vince has always been sick. I've always enjoyed doing it. But this year, just a broader audience, I feel like. And part of that is driven by what Kohler's done with the brand, and would continue to try to do cool stuff. And one of the really cool things, and just as always, I think people listen to this pod or go on site know, I give my honest opinion on what's good, bad, and in between. Like, honestly, this shirt is sick. It really is a sick shirt. And if you want a shirt, go to the site, buy one. But also, go to Twitter, say who you think is going to win the tournament and at what score. We're going to give away 5 shirts at the end of the week. I don't remember how I started this, but either way, people should do that.
Yeah, we were just talking about Charlotte, and the Queen City shirts definitely go into that. And they're Panthers color theme. They're Carolina theme, black and Carolina blue. So they're sharp. They got some nice little verbiage on the back. Shout out Kohler, does great work. We're gonna have some great shirts for every single major, and then we got a special surprise for some players in the summers. It's gonna be some cool stuff on the site. So rep Vince if you can.
And so I don't remember even how I started on that, but we're always flying through so many things on the pod. Bam, 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 bam. Tough to keep track of. But Jers, I went over here to let people know, and this is why I did it. Somebody responded on Twitter that these guys are going to team up and win the tournament.
Jack
Griffin,
Bushman, I think.
Yeah, shout out Jack. Because I was updating the dog rankings today, and Ben Griffin and Andrew Novak are in the dog rankings. They're 50th as a team. They're in as a team. I don't feel comfortable putting either of them in individually at this point. I love them together as a unit. They're the only team in the dog top 50, so they belong on the Ryder Cup or any sort of team event. They're the number 1 team that exists right now, the only team in the world in the dog ranking, so this isn't a slight to them by any means, but they've got to be together for now. Who do you think finishes higher this week between those two?
Ben or Noves? I mean, shit. I'm going to go with Ben. Because he's got some pop off the tee, some sneaky pop off the tee, and we are in fact on the
400 to 1 on Bet Online. I'll promise you, I'm betting Ben Griffin. I'll bet him right now. He'll be on the card. I know there's a lot of times where I come on the pod and I think about got someone to bet, and sometimes I bet him, sometimes don't. Keegan last week, for anyone who was wondering, I did bet Keegan, and he
put me in for that.
Okay, I'll grab this 400 right now on BG. Keegan ultimately did putt terrible. He gained strokes in the first round. I knew it was a joke, and I knew he was going to lose strokes. But he'll be on the card on Wednesday. Ben Griffin 400 to 1. That's the most disrespectful thing I've ever seen.
Is it Bermuda? Yes, no. If yes, bet Ben Griffin. If no, don't bet Ben Griffin. It's not rocket science at all.
Want to know who we talked about striping with their long irons and playing the Srixon ball because he loves how his long irons are so precise with it? BG.
Hideki? Oh,
well, yeah,
he doesn't play the Srixon ball. He plays the Max Fly.
Yeah, sorry, Max Fly. Riss has strong Srixon dog rankings related take, by the way, as well.
Yeah,
it involves Shane Lowry, but he flushes his irons. We talked about the high hands when he won. He came on the pod, told us when he's on Bermuda, it doesn't even matter. He's just like, this is for me. I was born to be on the Bermuda. When he's not on Bermuda, he literally said it's hard. One of our all-time takes that we've had, this is why I love when BG came on the pod, and I love BG so much as a golfer, is that we've had the Bermuda guys take, and we legitimately asked him, when you play not Bermuda, does it affect your thinking about the week? He's like, yes, it is honestly hard for me to be as positive as when I'm on Bermuda. He's 401. He's on Bermuda. He could just gain 20 strokes putting, have a miracle week, and win.
Yeah, him or Jacob Bridgman can easily do that this week. But Ben Griffin's been legitimately 15% better ball striker than he was the last 2 years. So I'm down. Like I said last week, he's got the sneaky distance. I was surprised to see it in person. I'm down for Ben.
It's hilarious that were and you were high on Ben at Boots, but I kept saying it's not Bermuda, it's not Bermuda.
Didn't play well.
And he didn't play well, but he's back on Bermuda now. In my opinion, it's hilarious that we're now an hour and 10 minutes in, and we've talked about just a handful of the top guys, and we just did Ben Griffin and Ben at BSB Novak. But at the end of the day, they're friends of the pod. I'll be rooting for them hard this week, and if I can get BG at 400 to 1 for a free entertainment on a guy I already wanted to root for, easiest bet I've ever placed.
He will be 200 through 4, so you can just count that in on the Bermuda. Yeah, I'm with you. You can text me after. I'm gonna get that. You need to get that in for me. Next
tier of the board, because we didn't touch on two of the guys that were super, or at least I'm super high on this week. Actually, one of them I'm not. I've been in on Bryson. Bryson was my preseason on the one and done pick the way. Also, my preseason Tommy turned out pretty good.
Philly Craig?
Yeah, Philly Craig Tommy preseason was a. I'll take that.
What a week for Tommy. Birdie on 18. That was just so good. Good.
It's so good. It really, really is so good. But I've been behind Bryson. Bryson makes so much sense. He's driving it to a level beyond imagination. Last week on the pod, at the beginning when we talked about him, Scotty and Rory, I said Bryson was my guy from the top of the board. His odds movement, he's as of a couple of weeks ago, he's getting higher than this, but like last couple of days, he was 14 to 1. Now he is on some books 8-7, on FanDuel 7 to 1. His odds have basically been cut in half. And all I'm going to say is I've been all in on Bryson this week for a while. I like to see how the odds move the week of a tournament. I never bet futures. I don't see a lot of success from people that I know who are like really good golf bettors and smart about golf. Like even then futures, like they're just tough. I like to see how the odds move on the week. I like to stick to like a normal process. So I'm not saying this from the sense of like I'm out on him because of that, but just purely from how these odds, nothing new happened between 2 days ago and today. Obviously the books reset the odds, but like we've been playing Quail Hollow for over a year. Bryson's been generationally strapping off the tee and playing great in majors forever. All of a sudden everybody woke up today and was like, holy fuck, Bryson can do PGA.
Yeah.
Like I'm very surprised. And I think like the books have to some extent be like the books aren't stupid at the same time. They'll like, I don't think they're like the books also knew the tournament was going to be played at Quail. And so for this, the odds move is just odd. I'm not saying I know exactly what it means, but I don't think I'm less interested now, honestly.
It feels a little bit like the COVID year when Bryson was that the COVID year when Bryson was 9 to 1 to win Augusta when he was just like had to win. And then what do we miss a cut or had a horrible week? I don't think Bryson's going to miss a cut. I think Bryson's going to play really, really well this week. But like, the odd movement, that is very concerning and weird. But like what he's doing, and if you're not too in tune with LIV, and if you don't trust the LIV stats, what he's doing off the tee passes the eye test. It is like if the crank driver gets banned after this week, I'm not shocked at all because it is unruly stuff. He's hitting it. Obviously, Bryson's hitting it far so straight. He's like top in LIV accuracy, not like top 2, but he's in the top 10 on a weekly basis on LIV accuracy off the tee, Bryson DeChambeau, while being like second in distance. That's insane stuff. Insane stuff.
Yeah, and I'll say, and this is, we shout out Data Golf on, I believe the LIV numbers, and for the reasons that you are saying. Like, I've watched Bryson drive it at LIV, and it's beyond belief. It's literally a joke. If the only reason I wanted to go to Boots, honestly, this week was to watch Bryson and Joaco drive, and specifically Bryson. You have
and Marco.
Yeah, and Marco. And now Ryan Fox, obviously. But I wrote up on the site, I think he basically starts between second and third base this week. So it's like, I get why everybody's betting Bryson. He makes all of the sense in the world. I'm just confused why now at the last, I know it's the week of, but like, why are the odds got cut in half in like 12 hours? And maybe they'll change the odds go on, but like wild move.
It had to have taken an insane amount of money this last 24 hours. Had to have.
Yeah, and I say that mainly because we watch these odds every week, and who's watching the golf odds on a weekly basis? Not many people. On major week, that's when a lot of people bet for some of the rare times of the year. Insane stuff on Bryson. I don't know what it means. I don't know if it's good, bad, or in between, but I'm just being honest. I was fine going into this week, and I am fine single bulleting somebody this week. That's what I will say. Like another thing, going back to like the card construction, I'm sticking to, and I said at the beginning of the year, 20 to 1 and above outside of the majors and pretty much on all the other tours. But in a major, I've decided I too often cross out single bulleting or going to the top of the board in my head without even giving it a chance. And major weeks just are different. Look at the names who have won majors.
Did you say you were good to do it in majors? I think you did, right?
Yeah, I did. That's what I'm saying. I'm open to doing it, and I said that before the year, but I'm sticking with it. And so because of that, like, I'm not saying I'm out on Bryson because I wouldn't bet these changed odds. I maybe I would if I really really thought he was going to win, but I think it's just a lot tougher now than it was
7. Yeah,
especially now that it's like the Bucks weren't caught off guard. Like I don't know. Okay, next tier. JT, Colin, defending champ Xander, your boy. We'll just do whatever you tell us to do on Xander. That's the next tier.
Yeah, I'll give you the Xander report. I'll get the Xander report tomorrow. We'll wait till do him tomorrow. But I do want it. Where's Lud in that tier? I want to ask you about Lud.
Lud
is he in that tier or
28 to 1?
Can we group him in with these guys, or we gotta wait till I'm separate?
Yeah, no, you can talk about Lud.
All right. Well, because I think I read the course preview. Obviously, VinceStarks.com. Go check it out. I think we have very differing opinions on Lud. I didn't write him down, and I want to ask your thoughts because I bet him last week. Obviously, I'm very, 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 very concerned about the approach play. You're in the camp that high towering long irons are going to benefit well here, which they definitely will. I'm concerned that he's not hitting his approaches well at all. Like if he can't do it with wedges at Philly Creek, he hasn't done it at whatever TPC at the Valero. Wasn't great with on the approach at the Masters. Something's going on with the approach play, and I don't think.
Here's what I'll say, because that's interesting. Because forever I've been the biggest Lud hater. Never. Yeah. Also, and I've said a million times, I like Lud. I think I like the vibe of Lud. I'm a Lud fan in that sense. I've hated he's the greatest swing ever, and he's got the greatest golf swing that's ever been made, and it's going to be perfect, and it's amazing. And a lot of it is good. But to your point, he's had a long stretch of poor approach play. And there's lots of golfers, not lots, a very small amount. And when we talk about Lud, the reason I'm saying this is because is one of the best golfers in the world. But what's the difference between, it's like people guarantee he'll be the number one golfer in the world. And yes, he has a great chance to, but like there's a lot of young gun talented players that exist in the game. The iron play is concerning. But my take and why I was out on him last week, because we saw him striping off the tee, hitting it so unbelievably high with all of his clubs, and you're like, this guy does flush to a different degree, dimensional flushing from left. I'm not saying he doesn't do that, but I think he needs to be on a course that requires long irons. I think he's just way better with his long irons than other people. On the most part, I think that's why a course like Torrey is good for him. Nuke it down the middle, launch some long irons down next to the green, and then make some putts. I would honestly say I'm more worried about the putter than I would be about the approach.
Yeah. Right.
But he's bad at both. That's the problem.
Right. Yeah. I don't think I can go back to Love this week when I was on him last week. Like I thought he was going to have no more than 15 feet, like on every single hole with all the wedges. And then hopefully, like if he has a bad putting week, that's whatever. But he was off with even on the long par threes, he wasn't hitting them close. He had a few nice woods and long irons in the par fives, but the approach play was so bad. I was tracking him like all week because he got off to that great start. He was 6 under through like 10 or 11. And I was like, all right, we're off to the races. It's going to be a Lud week. I should have just single beat him. And then it just didn't end up that way at all. So I'm concerned with Lud, and I just wanted to have the conversation before we see him tomorrow. I
just think he is. This is the old quote. He is who I thought he was. I think Lud's a great player, but I'm starting to I never thought necessarily that he was going to be the most guaranteed champion of all time. However, what do we say with Lud? Right when you start to think that about Lud is when he shows up, plays generationally, and wins. Or can win. And for that reason, I think the odds are fair. And that's why I'm saying I'm a Lud hater by craft over his history. And I never get him right when I bet him. He always plays either the opposite of what I think. But this year has been more of just not good golf from Lud. But where did he win? Torrey, a tough, long ball striking course. 7th at the Masters, gaining across the board. Lud could just be a man for the big occasion. He doesn't give a fuck about the Truist and the RBC Heritage, which are more wedge play events that in Valero and Players. Those actually are the opposite of the style of golf course that we're talking about. I'm interested in Lud, honestly, I think.
Yeah, all right. Well, we'll see him tomorrow, Wednesday. get back to you on Lud and rest of this range. I do have stronger feelings on Colin than I've had all year. And that's because if fairways become difficult to hit, I trust his long iron play. Not playing great golf, but everyone's kind of forgot about Colin. And more than anything, strokes getting Greiner this week. I don't think any of Max's wins count anymore. I think they all go towards Greiner, and we know what Max has done here. Having Greiner on the bag cannot hurt Colin's chances this week. And it's like, I know the soft conditions, fairways aren't going to be really hard to hit, but if something happens where there's a low fairway percentage, Colin will benefit from that.
I hear you. I think the price is fine. I will say I don't want Greiner to caddy for Colin. I didn't like it when we saw it. We were there and we saw instantly, we see Greiner, man who usually looks like just a chiseled, as if the only thing that matters in his life is how hard he can caddy. And he's a generational caddy, one of a kind. And then we walk up, he's got the US Bank logo on his hat. He's got the TaylorMade logos everywhere. He's going to be in the commercials. And that's fine. I get it. That's cool. But then, and so I was like skeptical of it. And then I saw them out on the course, and Colin's coming up with all these reasons why he can't be good at golf and how it's everybody else's fault except for Colin for why it's not going his way again. That's not what Greiner needs. Greiner needs him and JT, and then JT choke down the stretch. Greiner belongs with JT. I don't like it, Jers, and for that reason, I think I have to be out on both Colin and JT for a little bit, because I hit JT at Heritage, and now what are we doing?
Chill, yeah. No, fair. I hear you.
I'm upset, mainly, is what I'm saying. But I think 25-1 on Colin. He's good at PGAs. We know that. So, Joaco. I've been all over Joaco. I've gotten messages from a handful of people about
Joaco pod that we have.
About Joaco specifically. I don't feel as good right in this moment as I have about Joaco at Quail over the season, and go back and clip the tapes, and we might need to turn this into a clip. With that said, there's a reason why I took the stance at that moment when I did, because I didn't want to get thrown off by betting him at the Masters, which I knew was the wrong thing to do, but I got sucked into it, some FOMO. This was when I originally was supposed to bet Joaco to win his first major, because it makes all the sense in the world. One who generationally stripes it off the tee, is good with all of their irons, can get hot with the putter, Bermuda guy, Joaco. Not a serious major. The PGA at Quail Hollow, like that's one of the least serious majors in a long time. But at the same time, he's gonna fuck it up, and it's going to be a letdown. You're unbiased. You're outside of it. You'd also know about LIV guys, so you're not unbiased. But what's your Joaco status?
Yeah, I think if it was firm, he would have a much better chance than he would this week. That's my take.
Who's more likely to win between Tommy and Pat at 45-1?
By default, Pat.
I'd bet Pat. I put that tweet out this morning about Pat, and I did it because it's living rent free in my brain, Jers. I bet Pat at Quail every year. He never plays good, ever.
He's criminally unserious. Criminally. Like, he got to the mix and he immediately missed two 8-foot putts. Immediately. Like, he had a chance to post something. Immediately missed 2 putts.
If Cantlay wins for his first major at Quail Hollow at 45-1, usually I would say I'm out. I don't care if so and so wins at X price, whatever, that's fine. I would be mad at myself, because it's the major where you can win your first major, the PGA.
I mean, we bet Pat 40-1 at the Players.
Nukes off the tee, great with his. We saw him striping long irons on the range at Truist. Remember what he was doing with the long irons? It was
I don't remember anything from the range at Truist besides Bez hitting wedges.
Bez played all right. He shot 3 under, I think.
Shot 3 under everywhere. He finished 3 under. That would be crazy.
He might have. But I'm just 40. You don't see 45-1 on Pat, and we have in somewhat more recent times, but historically Pat's up there amongst the 20-30 ones in a major, and it's not like he's playing bad. He was T13 at Harbortown. He was T4 at Truist. And it would just be a question of the putter, and he'd probably miss every putt that you need him to make, and that's why he won't win, and he's 45-1. But I've got my eyes on it, Jace.
All right, I'm gonna monitor that, because I'm not hard convinced on Pat. Like, I can get the Pat, but it's just so unserious. It has to be without market, a 28-1.
The next group is interesting. Hideki, Hatton, and Brooks. I was on Hideki last week, and I've been testing out my new Hideki on-site eyes. It worked at the Players. He didn't end up playing good in the final round at all. He finished T17, but the third round was unbelievable. It was one of the best Saturday rounds of a guy who literally has no chance. You bet, some guy who's way down the way has no chance of winning. I think it was like 300 to 1 to enter the third round. And he finished at like 12 to 1. It was unbelievable stuff from Hideki. And he's played all right at Quail before, kind of way back in the day. But he's played good in the PGA. He was T5 at the PGA here. So there's Hideki. He's about 45 to 1. And also shout out Hideki. If you're not going to play good in the final round, if I bet you and you're in the mix, if you're not going to win, eject early. That's fine with me. Like don't get my hopes up and then choke it down the stretch. Just get out of there early. So that's fine with me from Hideki. I'm not upset with how Hideki played. He gave me a sweat. Theoretically, I went into the final round with some chance of Hideki winning, so I can't be too upset with that. Him, Hatton, who it makes sense on paper, but it's Hatton and in a major, you get 60. And then greatest major player of all time, dog number 2, deeply unserious, but I said I'd bet him every time this year above 20 to 1 on LIV. It's not gone well. But Brooks Koepka at 55 to 1. If you had to pick one of those guys.
It'd probably be Hideki. I do want to watch the driver. That's all.
I agree with that. Brooks.
Brooks is the answer. Brooks is the correct answer. But for me, it's Hideki.
Yeah, I got to think about it because if Brooks just keeps drifting to some ridiculous number, it's clearly a trap and it's going to go against me. But I'll probably do it. Who were you most disappointed with of the guys you bet last week? Because to be fair, and we said this all the time, who you had between Lud, Vic, and Mav, who disappointed you the most?
This is, I think, the first time ever I had 3 guys, I think, finish in the top 10 worst of putting. They all just putt so bad. But I'd say probably like Lud, because Lud had a great start. He was like 6 under through 11, like I said. Then he bogeyed 17 and 18 with some dumb mistakes. And then I was like, so it's probably Lud. It was Lud because I saw the outcome with Lud early. The other 2 were like never really got over the hump. So I would say Lud.
But I asked that mainly about Vic because right now there's 55 to 1 out there on Vic. We were on Vic at 28 to 1 last week. And like we said, he looks like he's got things figured out, at least mentally. He looks relaxed out there. He gained ball striking again. He's adding distance. He's not gaining a ton off the tee. The iron play is solid enough. The putter was the problem on the first 2 days. He was
so bad.
Catastrophic with the putter in the first 2 rounds. It was one of those where you were just watching and you're like, this guy's he has no chance of making it. He lost 3.2 in the first round and 2.4 in the second. He actually gained over the weekend. But Vic got off to a terrible start with the putter. Would you give him another chance at 55 to 1? You said you're probably not giving Lud another chance.
This is a great Victor Hovland golf course also. So I would definitely consider him. Vibes seem to be high in the Vic camp going back to last week. So I'm going to take what I saw last week. And I mean, he hit the ball well. He hit a few squirrely long irons, which is a concern, but I want to see how he's hitting them this week.
We get to the triple digits pretty quick this week, Jers. Like, there's just not that many guys. Like, do you think Spieth has a chance for the Grand Slam?
I mean, he's driver puttering it really, really well right now, and I'll tell you, driver putter works at Quail Hollow. But no, I mean triple D's. I mean, shit.
He's like 65.
Oh, okay, then no.
I was on the way to the triple D's, and I just saw Spieth and was like, that's an intro. Russ is 90 to 1. What's that all about?
I mean, you want to bet Hill. Want
to know the grasses is, Jers?
People are saying it's Bermuda. There's Publix too, like down the street from me. They have Publix here.
But we get to the triple digits quick, and we talked about a few LIV guys there. Who's your favorite down the board LIV guy?
Name like 3. I don't know the odds pulled up. I never look at the odds until
Sergio, DJ, Davey Puig, Dean, 200 to 1 on
Dean. Dean's the answer. You win at Trump Doral, long and difficult Bermuda golf course. Dean's a top 10 driver in this field. Maybe top 5 driver in this field. The answer is Dean.
I agree. I think, yeah. I kind of like Sergio, but he's lost his iron. I don't know what happened after the Masters. He's busted. Also, we didn't talk about him, but Keith's putting performance, Keith Mitchell, his putting performance on Saturday at the Truist was one of the worst, one of the worst things I've ever seen. It was crazy. Like he was just standing over like 2-foot putts and missing them.
One of the most unserious things I've ever seen. But that's Keith. I don't know. I need to rewatch the 2014 Honda or whatever the year it was, 2017, 18 Honda that he won. How did he ever win? I don't understand because that was unreal stuff. And it's every single week.
Want to know who is in the CY camp of hating golf, but also generational? Davis Thompson, 175
Hates golf. Hates golf. What did he do last week?
You saw Ricky Fowler's caddy at the gym. Rick's
we talked about decade golf.
Are they using it this week? Are they getting strategic out there?
No, because he compared what we did to decade, and I was like, yeah, like honestly, kind of. And we were just talking about like course management and stuff like that. Really cool guy. First time I've ever talked to him. But Ricky played all right last week. Got off to a good start.
By the way, Hideki on Sunday, he was like even through his first 4. Fine, not the end of the world. Didn't end up needing to go super low. He hit it in the left bunker on 5, the par 5, made double bogey. That's decade.
That's decade.
That's what we're selling. That's what we're offering up right there.
I think by the January 26th, we'll have those reports. We'll have a report styled. Hopefully, maybe that's me just telling you to do it.
Yeah. For the new season, get it dialed. Get Vince on it. But it's crazy how many players are in this field. Guys who you normally Carl 600-1, generational golfer. Marco Pench 750-1. There's some Pavs 1,000-1.
Long and straight.
Daniel Van Tonder's in the field.
DVT's in the field. I did notice that. Generational driver when he's clicking.
I need some good reports on some of the random guys in this field because there's some random guys in this field.
Yeah.
There's the guy from the Corn Ferry, Kiefer, Johnny
Keefe.
Johnny Keefe is in the field. Yeah, but why isn't Marty here? Marty just put on a display at the Turkish Open, the event that launched Brooks' career, and we've got Elvis Smiley in the field because he won.
Dude, not even a real golfer, not professional. Tacooms is in the field though. Tacooms is in the field. He can tailor-made stripe it up.
Johnny Katz is out there, but it's an interest. There's a lot going on in this field. My guy I like from down here, single bullet, 350-1 to go with BG 2-man card. Kurt at 350 and BG at 400. Kurt just finished T5 at the Byron. Kurt has been T4, T26 at the last 2 PGAs. I need a Kurt report because you'll probably be out there with Colin and Minwoo, and I need to know if he's striping. Funny
enough, but by noon today, I got 2 DMs asking for eyes on Kurt. I was like, is this a bit? This is a bit right now? Actually, 3. You, Coach, and Brentley Roman asked me about Kurt.
All friends of the pod.
Ball knowers. So I will get the Kurt report up tomorrow or Wednesday, whenever I see him.
Both of these guys are 200. Are we worried about Tom Kim? Because Max is starting to...
Are we worried? Yes.
Max was T30 at the Truist, and he gained 3 off the tee. Is that Vic Lappable that I said for the first time in a long time? I'm not in on Max this week, but I liked what I saw. I'm starting to become a believer that it really is the best he's hit it in a long time.
We both have Vic Laps for Max after April. So yeah, it's coming back up. It's coming back up. So hopefully give some good things here. What's his odds?
200-1. He's won at Quail Hollow. He's been T8 the last 2 years.
I mean, he won the Masters this year.
When he was... Give me some eyes on Max. I need to know... Because at the Masters, he gained 4.4 on approach, and then last week off the tee, he gained 3, and he spiked with 6 putting at Augusta. So, we're getting flashes of the good stuff. It's not consistent yet. It's not all green. It's not, and that's why he's 200-1. But I can't believe Tom Kim is down here with him.
Deeply unserious golfer, Tom Kim. Deeply. He almost missed the cut at the Myrtle.
Brian Harmon's 200 to 1. There's a lot of numbers down here that are like trying to entice me to bet guys who have no chance.
Yeah, like 350 to 1 Nicky Nations. Sorry, 600 to 1 Nicky Nations. 600 to 1 Nicky Nations.
There's like, I could start my card at 300 this week. And that's the ethos of the pod is we started by talking about how all the odds were saying, or like Vince was saying that the top of the board, like we need to be focused top of the board. That's literally what I wrote up this week. And now I'm strongly considering a 30-man card over 30 to 1.
Over 300 to 1, yeah.
Yeah, over
you might see. And I'll tell you, us two combined are not scared to do something like that. So don't be shocked when you sign up on the site and you see like a 25-man card that's still like somehow 10x ROI because it starts
honestly,
at 400.
I don't know if it was both the funniest and the most mad I've ever been at you, but you were like so late with your card for so was it Waste or Sony? Waste. It was Waste, and then you sent over like a 15-man card that started at like 80 to 1 with like, but it honestly ended up being a good card. Bez was up there.
Bez, yeah. Bez and Smalley.
Dude, this is the question. If you've made an hour 35 into the PGA pod, this is the question that you came for. Because I will also, or I wasn't on him last week because his odds were terrible, but Smalley's back. Smalley's back, hard back. But who, if Smalley, Keith, and Tommy were in a 3-person tournament, would any of them win?
Yes. Alex Smalley would win by teeing off first on Sunday. He would just post a clubhouse lead, and he would win.
And the other players would never finish, and that's how Smalley.
Yes, they would shoot infinity.
He in Myrtle Beach was so vintage. He was like one shot off the lead the entire back 9. And every time they'd cut to him, he was 10 feet after just hitting a generational iron shot to like where no one else could get inside 25 feet. Missed every single one of them. Random Euro of the week. This is important because people in the Discord, I said it yesterday. It's the Euros win every week now. So we can't really, we've been doing random Euro of the week. We might have to do random American of the week because the Euros are dominating this year at Jers, but still, give me a random Euro from down the board that's caught your eye and that you're going to want to get a look at it.
I mean, I think I got to go back to my guy, Nick Norgard. That's 2 straight really, really solid weeks from Nick Norgard. And talk about a golf course where you need to drive it. Talk about a potential top 10 driver in this field, Nick Norgard, Viking Cup member. Finally finding it. So I'm gonna go with the Dane, Nicky Norris.
My choice, I said this a few pods ago, and I got to stick with it. Is Marco Penge. He was my early random Euro of the week. I don't love it, but when I got to stick by my guns, we got Rasmus Niers in the field too. Thor Olsen. This is a great field. I'm excited for you to get the Boots report back to us this week on what's going on down the board. I'll be holding down the fort on the site, crunch some numbers. Gio, always shout out Gio, sent over a little analysis that we did last year at Quail.
How do you have that? How?
He's just a generational ball knower, and he is on top of those types of things. You know, like, at the end of the day,
I'm so shocked.
At the end of the day, that's why Gio's a friend of the pod. But that's great because I didn't remember that, and sometimes I do go back and I'll look at.
And that was really good. I was so good. Like it was like Rory and Ben on. It was like 1-2.
And Xander.
Yeah, sorry.
Like whatever this was, and obviously we do, analysis on a weekly basis, and some are more accurate than others. So, there's volatility in golf. It is what it is. But a place like Quail, things are more consistent, and because of that, there was some clear trends last year, and apparently I crunched some numbers on that, and it worked. So I want to crunch them again this year and see who fits the bill. Because shout out to you for even bringing that up.
Shout out to you. That was whatever you did there. Definitely get that back up on the site. That was good stuff. But yeah, so I'm excited for rest of this week.
Thrifty Law, 1,250 to 1.
He's lost. He forgot how to play golf.
I'm excited. Big week ahead. The PGA. Stay dry. Most importantly, because we need you on the pod tomorrow. We need a strong Tuesday, Wednesday Boots report. Watch your step. It looks hilly there, and the Bermuda could get slick. It starts to dry out a little bit. Watch your step. Have a good time. More than anything, free food. Yeah. Unlimited free food. Unlimited free food. We will definitely report back on that tomorrow night. Extendo fast greens plus Boots. So let's do it. We'll see you there.